Joshua Foreman. Alas, poor Barba, I knew him well. To be or not to be? That is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or by opposing to win them. No, that's not how it goes. Opposing? No. Or to take up arms. To take up arms. Or to take up arms against the sea! Troubles? Yeah. Oh, I was right. I know Shakespeare. Or to take up arms against the sea of troubles, and by opposing, to end this project. Please, God, let's end this project. So, hi there. Hi. Start this again. My name's Josh Foreman, Josh from the present, aka Josh from the future within the context of the rest of this video, aka Josh from the past if you're watching this series after it's done. So, what you're seeing right now is I'm finally at the point where I feel confident enough to say I'm going to finish this project, and so I can start releasing these videos. So, 4 years ago, over 1,000 hours, which I've been keeping track of on this count up timer, and I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Super exciting. This thing's going to be done. It's going to be epic. I just wanted to pop in to let you guys know, within the context of this channel, where this series fits in. So this Colossus series is going to be very long. I've had multiple cameras rolling, which means I have multiple thousands of hours of footage that I have to go through and edit, put together to create these things. So this is not something that I want to commit myself to full-time for this channel. Then it would just become the Colossus channel, and that's not what I want. I want my channel to always be fresh and exciting and surprising. Kind of like that guy from the movie Shoot 'Em Up, where just out of the blue he'll kill a guy with a carrot. You son of a... Eat your vegetables. That's what I want my channel to be. Fresh, exciting, and surprising. Kill you with a carrot. Yeah, so for that reason, I'm just going to be putting these out kind of on a drip feed as I get to them. It's going to be a gap filler. Some months it'll come out, I'm assuming, like once or twice a month, maybe more, maybe less, totally depends. Here's why. There are some sections of this build that are just super meaty as far as a lot of content. I cover a lot of materials, techniques. I say funny things sometimes. I mean, I think they're funny. They're probably not funny. But if they were funny, that would count as content. Anyway, so there's like content heavy parts. And then there are parts where it's just like, I've explained what I'm doing. Now I just have to do it 800,000 times. And so those sections would be like massively fast forward, sped up. But I'm not cutting anything. I'm not going to jump cut from piece to piece. This is something I haven't seen done before, probably for many good reasons, is a 1,000-hour project shown in its entirety without cutting it. So lots of fast forwards. I talked to some musician friends, so there'll be some nice music in the background for those sections. But yeah, like if it's just an entire episode of nothing but fast forward me doing something, you know, I could put those out really fast, and you could watch those really fast, or you could skip them. It's fine, right? It's just extra bonus stuff, just because I want this kind of thing to exist. I don't know why I do, but I do, so it is. And you could watch it or not, it's fine. It's fine, either way. Also, just as a quick aside, sorry if I misled you, this is not actually a series on how to build your first wonder in civilization. But it is video game related, so it's not totally misleading. It's like a windowless van that says free candy on it, but it actually does have free candy in it. I mean, if a video series could be like that, you could say that this series is like a windowless van full of free candy. I should probably put that in the description. Yeah, let me write that down. And so, without further ado, ballyhoo or hoopla, here is Josh Foreman from 4 years ago to get us started. Oh, hello. I didn't see you there. Welcome to Breath of Life Art Studio. My name's Josh Foreman. Here's some sculptures that I've made over the years. And this is going to be my first tutorial. So, what am I going to make, you ask? This! This is a Colossus. It's from the game Shadow of Colossus, which is came out on the PlayStation 2 and later got re-released on the PlayStation 3. One of my favorite games ever, very critically acclaimed, blah blah yada yada. There are 16 Colossi, and the one that I chose to sculpt is the 6th, Barba. His name is Barba. So this guy he's got a beard, he's big and giant, he's Colossus, if you will. And so in approaching the idea of doing a sculpture of him, the first thing I try to figure out is what materials am I going to, well, no, before that, back up. Pretend I didn't say that. I did not say that, okay. So the first thing you do is figure, how big do I want it? Let me rephrase that. How big should the sculpture be? So I have this little graphic here. I'll show it to you through the magics of editing. And this guy is 80 feet tall, right? Yes. In game space size. And so I wanted to say, well, let's see, if we did it to an inch per foot, then he would be 80 inches tall. And I used this device called a lever lock 30, and determined that 80 inches is actually it's taller than me. So yeah, I decided not to do that. I do want it to be big. Let me rephrase that. I do want the sculpture to be really big, and just because that's really what, I mean, that's what makes this game amazing, is that you're climbing on this giant thing, and the spectacle of it is really what, you know, one of the main ingredients that grabs people. So, how about half that? And I used this, this is called a lever lock 30, and through these calculations, I was able to determine that half of 80 is 40, which is about this big. And that's more manageable. It's still bigger than most sculptures that I've ever made. Is it big? I made a paper mache tree once. Okay, but this is the biggest sculpture I've ever tried to do. So, but I like that size a lot, so we're going to go with that. Now, so now that we've determined the size, 40 inches, we've got to determine materials. Remember how I didn't say that's the first thing that you do is determine materials. So now is step B, where we determine materials. Throughout my years of sculpting, I've used a lot of different materials, been more successful with some than with others. The one I probably use the most is Super Sculpey. My material of preference. You may have used Super Sculpey before. It's pink, and it's very squishy. A lot of people say it's like sculpting with bubble gum. That's silly. It's not like sculpting with bubble gum. So what I like about Super Sculpey is that it stays soft for years. You can sculpt it just with your hands and little tools. I like this dental tool. And when you're ready, you just stick it in your home oven for 15 minutes, half an hour, depending on how thick it is, at 230-ish degrees, and it bakes hard. Most of this stuff back here is done with Super Sculpey Firm. Now, the downside, it's fragile, and it's heavy, and it's pretty expensive too. So if I'm going to make a 40-inch tall, giant, brute thing, Super Sculpey is just impractical. I'll probably use some for details, and maybe because I want to make the little guy on top of the Colossus. I may use Super Sculpey for that. For making this giant guy, I'm going to go with something that is lightweight, inexpensive, relatively easy to work with, and so that leads me to, wait for it, this stuff. This is a Pink Panther thing, and I got it at Home Depot. You can get it at any hardware store. And I guess it's insulation that you use for putting between the walls or something of buildings and houses and stuff. So this stuff I worked with a little bit. Basically, to cut it, you could use an X-Acto knife, like a razor type thing, or even better, there are these tools. These are called hot wire from Foam Factory, and they plug into a little dealer-ma-doodler-doo, and so this one is like a knife. You just slowly carve it through, and this one has a wire, so you can do various shapes and forms, and even if you curve it a little bit, you could do some scooped out shapes. Oh, let me show you something I've done with it real quick. So this is a little diorama type thing that I was gonna make. This door was gonna go there, but this is mostly carved out of that foam. As you can see, I was able to get like a wood texture on there. Well, the bedding, that's just a paper towel that's been painted. But you can see in there the rock shapes. That's made from using this guy to just kind of scoop the foam out. So that's that. Yeah, so gonna use that stuff for the basic core of it. Now I'm gonna coat it with this stuff. Hold on 1 minute. This stuff is called Celluclay, and it's basically super finely ground paper dust, basically. So it's like paper mache, but a lot pulpier. I can show you real quick something that I just did with this. So the base on this this rock monster thing. So it's got kind of a mottled, bumpy surface. Thought it worked fine for what I was doing here, where it was just basically making a nondescript rotating platform. Okay, so that is my plan, and rule number 1 of sculpting. Well, okay. Rule number 1 of sculpting is that there are no rules. Rule number 2 of sculpting is that no matter what you plan, you planned it wrong, and it's going to end up completely different than you think. And you're going to have to improvise a lot. That's my pro tip. pro tip number 1A. So it is about midnight, which is the perfect time to start a gigantic project. And that's pro tip number 2A. Point 3. So looking at the footage and the pictures, the reference that I have for it, gives me an idea for kind of the scale, the epicness, this kind of stuff. What I kind of have to decide now, this is the third part, is, okay, I've determined the size that I want, I've determined the materials that I'm going to pretend that I'm going to use, and then I'm going to end up using completely different things. Or maybe for the first time in my life, it'll work out exactly like I think. Who knows? So I'm going to take those 2 steps, and the third step is, can you guess? Yes, you are correct. It is eat kettle corn with a caramel top. There's pro tip 3 is always make sure that you're eating really crappy food when you're sculpting. Okay. Oh, I forgot to say. So, I'm gonna finish chewing real quick. That was really quick, wasn't it? Okay. Oh yeah, the pose. Okay, so the next thing I gotta figure out is what pose is this thing gonna be in? I know for certain that I want the guy on top, Wander, I want him to be doing, like, winding up for the killing blow. Like, that's something that learning to draw the Marvel way, it's a little book, taught me, is that you want to put poses in anticipation. So, you know, if you're drawing or sculpting someone punching, you don't want it, you know, you want it to be this, or you want it to be this, right? You don't want it to be like somewhere in the middle where it's just kind of soft and mushy and you're not really sure the intent of the action. Okay, so Wander, he's going to be, you know, like, probably grabbing onto some tuft of hair, and he's got his sword, and he's you know. What do I do about the Colossus? Well, this is where I'm going to start out by using super sculpting. What I have learned to do, and I've learned this the hard way through many failures of sculpting, of just starting from scratch and going, boom, I'm making this big thing now, is that it's best to start out with a maquette, basically, to make a thumbnail. So right now I have this little, you can see there's it's a little thumbnail of a half-size bust that I was doing, and I was trying to figure out posing and stuff. So that'll work fine for the head of our Colossus. It looks like this is all pretty hard right now. Let me rephrase that. This clay seems like it's really hard right now. This is what we have this guy for. This is a pasta roller McDeely, and you can take your hard clay and you can roll it, and then it's more malleable. So when I'm making I completely almost forgot this. By completely, I mean almost. And by almost, I mean I didn't, because I just remembered. So, let's see. 1, 2, 3. Pro tip number 4. The thing that you always have to remember when sculpting is that the most important thing every sculptor has is the sculpting helmet. Now, all the great sculptors throughout history have had their sculpting helmet. Raphael, Donatello, Michelangelo, Leonardo, all those. That guy that did the thinker guy, they all had great helmets. So I built this one to help me out. Now, if you know anything about Shadow, the team that made Shadow of Colossus is the game before it they made. It's called Ico, or Eco if you want to be Japanese about it. I don't. I'm American. You can tell from the accent. Totally American. Okay, so the great thing about this helmet is that I fastened this camera. So, for the first time in history, be prepared for a 3-camera sculpting demonstration with an artist cam. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I am switching on artist cam. And this will help you see, because when I watch sculpting videos, the most frustrating thing is that the camera is not ever in the right place. So I'm aiming to solve that. Let's see here. Let's put that on there. Yep, okay. Oh, I was talking about Ico. Ico is a game about a little boy with horns, and he's trapped in a sarcophagus, and it breaks out, and he has to escape this castle. And there's this little ghost girl that he helps, and there's these shadow monsters that try to take the girl if you leave her. It's brilliant. It's a wonderful game. Anyway, I'm not sculpting that, so why am I talking about it? Because it's on my hat. Okay, so now let's see. I'm gonna do a test real quick by pretend to sculpt this. I'm gonna check real quick to make sure that recorded well. I got the angle right. Oh, okay. Turns out I wasn't recording at all. Okay, let me try that again. Probably it would help if I ate one. Oh, okay. Sculpting face. Sculpt face. Okay, now I'm gonna see. Check again. See if this works. Stop recording. Okay, so starting with this and this, I'm going to basically mold a quick, tiny Colossus body. I really should have prepped first by making more soft clay. You know what? I'm gonna check and see if I have softer clay. 1 second. Literally 1 second. Hallelujah. Okay, so turns out I have some softer clay. Look at this. You can see it's all flat, gummy, because I already squished it through the squisher McFeely. Okay, so doesn't help that it's about 20 degrees in my garage right now. It's the day before. Well, I guess technically it is Thanksgiving now, since it's after midnight. This is not working out that great. Okay. Oh. So with Sculpey, it definitely takes some kneading. That's KNEEEEEDING to get it to a point where it's of its full plasticity. So it was all crumbly, right? And I spent the last 30 seconds just rolling. Making snakes, it turns out, is actually one of the premier talents a sculptor can have. Oh, hey, I almost forgot. Okay, so I don't know about you, you're probably completely different as an artist, but me personally, I start a project, and then I start another project, and then
I start another project, and then I start another project, and then I start another project, another project, and then I start 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 another project.
And I never finish I don't often finish things that I start. I mean, I think it's safe to say that these sculptures back here are pretty much everything I've finished in, let's see, 93, like 20 years of sculpting. That's really sad. Okay, so one of the reasons that I'm doing this is I'm making a little video commentary about stories in video games. It's called the Cutscene Subversion Project, and I'm dressing up as a variety of characters, saying various lines, and this is one of the characters I'm going to be doing as the sculptor, right? And I'm going to be sculpting this thing for that film. So I'm guaranteed to finish it because I'm guaranteed to finish this film project. I've been working on it almost 2 years now. Okay, but the point the reason I'm talking about this is because I got this timer thing, and this is something I've never done before, so it should be very interesting. I'm going to find out how long it actually takes me to make a giant sculpture, right? I always think in my head, oh, it should take 5-10 hours, and then 3 months later and 400 hours later, it's done, you know. So I'm gonna actually start this timer right now. There you go. It's going. So anyway, that's going to be an interesting little experiment. And whenever I take a break, I'll just pause it.